Oh, this guy isn't messing about. He's just written, Deji Grant, that's his name. Listen to Johnny Cash, Man in White. That's it. That's the demand. So let's do that. I like your style, mate. So that's coming next. Oh, so this is Johnny Cash, Man in White, and it's got Jesus in the image. So I'm guessing this is somebody who's done a, what do you call that? Cover? No. Anyway, let's watch that. I'm going to watch that video. So I'm going to promote their video, Brett Maloney. They did this 7 years ago, Man in White, and it's Jesus. So that's interesting. It's 5 minutes 28, but it is, of course, Johnny Cash. Take care, guys.
I studied at the feet of a master. Gamaliel, we called him the beauty of the law. I was born of the tribe of Benjamin. I was a Pharisee, and I could quote from memory the Holy Torah. That day that the Nazarene was brought to trial, it was on a Sabbath eve. There was an earthquake when he died. Just another peasant preacher who came up from Galilee, blaspheming troublemaker, we let him be crucified. Then I thought that I would hear no more about him, but his friends found his tomb empty, claimed that he rose from the dead. Then they say he walked among them with the nail wounds in his hands, that king upon a donkey with a thorn crown on his head. His followers kept growing in great numbers, and the one that they call Cephas mocked us in the judgment hall. And with the Greek name Stephen, we knew the Gentiles had come in. I cast my vote against him, he was stoned, I saw him fall. Then the friends of the Nazarene became united, and I became enraged and led a slaughter zealously. I found their secret places, they were beaten, they were chained, but some of them were scattered, justified in fearing me. Then the man in white appeared to me in such a blinding light, it struck me down with its brilliance, took away my sight. Then the man in white in gentle loving tones spoke to me, and I was blinded so that I might see the man in white. But like the wind that blows the scattered sea, from Alexandria to Antioch their congregation grew. I went to the high priest for letters of permission to go to other cities to see my mission through. 6 days on the hot road to Damascus, and just outside the city in the middle of the day, a great unearthly light struck and overpowered me. Prostrate on the hot road, I was blinded where I lay. Then I thought I heard the rushing of great waters, and a multitude of angels singing sweet and heavenly. And through the sound of wind came a voice so soft and kind, meant for only me to hear. Saul, why do you persecute me? As I lay there on the ground in my blindness, he asked me once again, and suddenly the voice I knew. So finally I managed a trembling response. Who are you, Lord? I asked him, but I already knew. am Jesus of Nazareth, the voice answered. Arise, go to Damascus, on the street called Straight will be a place where you will wait for my servant Ananias. He will open up your eyes, you'll be a witness unto me. So now I live to serve my master, as zealous in his service as I once was as his foe, and keeping his commandments given on Damascus road. I go to all the world, and I let the whole world know that the man in white appeared to me in such a blinding light it struck me down, and with its brilliance took away my sight. And the man in white in gentle loving tones spoke to me, and I was blinded so that I might see the man in white. And I was blinded so that I might see the man in white. The man in white.
Okay. Okay. So that was an experience. That was quite epic. It made me think a lot of things. A lot of things I'm probably not going to go into because it's going to sound really pedantic, and I've not really completed them thoughts. A lot of things hovering around in my mind, and I don't really know how to express them. But to summarize it, I would say, isn't it amazing that, like, throughout civilization, throughout the different periods of civilization, the different histories, the different cultures, faiths, religions, practices, conventions, everything, the differences that we've had in humanity throughout our entire existence of 200 plus thousand years, that we still all feel this. No, that's wrong. We don't all feel it, but there is still this open door to this sentiment of a God or a purpose. Whether we choose to walk through that door, whether our rational thinking doesn't allow us to kind of accept that as a form of reality, regardless of our opinion and points, or even logic, the fact remains that people still do experience it, right? As someone said to me, recently, this was only last week actually, they said, actually it was less than that, it was probably about 3 days ago, someone said to me, can you tell me where this God is that you keep talking about? And I just said, yeah. They said, have you ever seen God? I said, yeah. And I said, look, the fact that you asked that question to me suggests that you presume that your definition of God is the same as mine. Like, the first thing is your initial foundation, your basis, your starting point is presumption, right? I don't have the same logic and rationale as you, or I don't define things the same as you. Now, what defines the color blue, for example, for me, it might be a slightly different blue to what you see, but we both call it blue, right? We both kind of know, it's that almost conceptual thinking, right? But when you ask me about God, my definition of God is everything. If God is everything, that means God is also, there's nothing without God, right? That's my definition of God. So when I see the ocean, for example, I gave this example to a lifeguard in Greece 2 days ago, because I was talking about this discussion, and I said to her, if you see the ocean in front of you, people would say, what a beautiful ocean that God has made, and I don't. I say God is the ocean. So it's not God has made the beautiful ocean, the ocean is beautiful and the ocean is God, because God is everything. So anyway, my point is that we still feel these same sentiments, so there's no difference when I see people talking about this light or this man in white, and that kind of, I get it. I get that feeling, because I won't go into my personal experiences, but I believe it to be irrefutable. I don't know what the word is. Irrefutable. I believe it to be beyond reason. It doesn't need to marry up to science. I'm a scientist, right? As I've studied physics. I don't work in a lab or anything. A certain French guy will have you know, but I studied physics. I studied quantum entanglement, quantum mechanics, and it's got nothing to do with this. People lean on science. It's got nothing. Science is. Nietzsche puts it beautifully, right? Nietzsche actually talks about the biggest religion is actually the scientists, the scientists that have never done science, and he really expounds it. And I remember Nietzsche wrote God is Dead, and Nietzsche wrote the Antichrist. Nietzsche wrote the gay science, right? He knows this subject. I'm talking about Friedrich Nietzsche. If anyone doesn't, I always talk about Nietzsche often. Probably read a bit too much of him, but anyway, when he talks about the newest, people are actually more religious than they are atheist. There's more religious people than there are atheists, because there are more people who claim to believe in science, right? It's just a different form of religion. It doesn't point to a god, but not all. Buddhism doesn't point to a god, but you call it a religion. So scientists don't point to a god, they call it. But the fact remains, you haven't seen a photon. Well, you've seen light, but you've not seen an electron. You've not seen an atom. You've not seen it, but you believe it exists because somebody tells you in a book it exists. You're following it blindly, right? Isn't that faith? Are you not having faith in the same system that you sometimes suggest contradicts the other, which is superpowers and the supernatural and the godly and the lofty and all that unexplainable stuff, because you can't see it? Well, I've just told you I can see it. So tell me God isn't a door. I'll agree with you, because he isn't the door, nor is he not the door, right? So I wouldn't disagree with that. But if you start then turning around and say, oh, I believe in science. What science? What theory, what paper, what formula, what peer-reviewed journal, which scientist, which piece of scientific evidence are you referring to that contradicts or even has anything to do with the belief of God? If you don't believe in God, it's probably because you're a very rational thinker and you think with logic, and it's not the fact that you don't believe in it, it's that your logic has not reached you to that conclusion. It doesn't mean you're illogical. There are many different routes to get to a certain place, right? It doesn't mean every destination is incorrect. Is an incorrect destination and there's only one. There are many routes to a conclusion, right? Your logic may be like, okay, it may be this as an example. Oh, baby dies at birth, baby's done nothing wrong, the baby suffers a horrible death and it's gone in 4 or 5 days. What did the baby do wrong? Where is God, right? That might be your logic. That's a perspective. It's not an absolute conclusion. It's conjecture, because somebody else's perspective of that scenario might be, oh, that baby has died. What a horrible death. The baby wouldn't know anything about its death now because it's gone. Therefore, those who will experience the pain of the baby's death isn't the actual baby, it's the mother or the father, right? Throughout their life, the rest of their life, they're going to suffer a lot more about that death than the baby, because there's no experience after death, unless you believe in God, right? So that perspective is almost saying that the pain it's not God giving the baby a horrible death, it's the parents going through something for a reason. I'm not going to say what that reason is because I don't know what that reason is, but there's a bigger plan. That's a different perspective of the same thing. Both perspectives are correct because they both are subjective experiences, right? Neither are wrong. Neither contradict each other either. They're looking at the same phenomena, right? Anyway, I'm really digressing and I'm going to go and grab another beer, but as I said, you feel free to switch off when I do that. Take care.